as a producer with Nawaz, and now I've debuted as a director with him. So I was a journalist with The Week for many years, and then I was doing documentary films for a while. We started the company only when we wanted to really creatively produce or direct or write stuff we want to do, and that is the only reason we became director. Of course, there were challenges before to get this film done. Nawaz, of course, he was extraordinary, and you know, everybody who's worked with him knows that. But it is with him, I had a lot of other actors, the cast, the crew, Priya, Gagan. What was surprising was, actually, I'll tell you honestly, the surprising thing was that sometimes, you know, when things fall, everything falls in place, things are easy. So that was surprising for me, that it was easy. I loved waking up in the morning, not sleeping for even 2-3 hours, 4 hours. But when I used to go in the morning, I used to feel so happy when I used to be on the set. In fact, I remember Nawaz kept saying that in all interviews, and in fact, every day he used to tell me, until the end of the shoot, he told me that, you know, I've worked on so many films, and this is one film I've had the most fun on, because I was very closely working with my writers before we started. That was a very hard, where we got and decoded each scene. I wanted him to tone down. I wanted the body language to him to move faster. I wanted the camera to move like that. So these are the things I used to look at before going in the car. And we think, you know, pagal log aa gaye, because I like to go early, sit, have a cup of coffee, do the blocking before the actors come, discuss the scene, discuss with my writer. So there are all kinds of films. We are not genre agnostic. We are basically genre agnostic, where we don't look at yehi actor ki karna hai ya yehi genre karna hai. Anything that excites us, and even if it's a small film, agar OTT ke liye hoga ya 300 crore film hoga, the story has to be important, and we want to enjoy working with those creators.
Hi, this is Jaya and you're watching me on Galatta, India. And today we have someone who has just debuted with her first film, Costao. And she's very creative, very talented, presenting Sejal Shah. Hi, Sejal.
Hi. Thank you.
How are you doing?
Good, very good. Just finished the release, so now, I mean, we're all taking a breather.
So how do you define now success? Beyond numbers or beyond reviews, how do you see your success now?
No, I don't think I have always looked at, for me, success is a very, you know, and I'm not just saying it as a, you know, template where people say that success ka kya meaning. And for me, it's always been to do what I want to do. Okay. And all my life, I have chosen the path, you know, that gives me a lot of happiness and passion. So for me, success is that, you know, where I started my career to now. So I feel I'm successful, that I can just enjoy what I'm doing.
Oh, crazy. You directed a film, Costao, right, recently, and you chose Nawazuddin, right? And what really took you to bring into this life, first thing first?
So when I was already, you know, the thing is that I debuted as a producer with Nawaz, and now I've debuted as a director with him. So when I was working on Serious Men, which was the first film in Bombay Fables, which we produced and my partner wrote it, and Sudhir Mishra directed, that moment we were already working with Nawaz, and I have always loved Nawaz as an actor. He's a fantastic, talented actor. Absolutely. And then while I was producing, I was on the set all the time. I realized that apart from being such a great actor, he's so professional. He's such a giving, generous actor, and he's so much fun to be with. And that was one of the things I really enjoyed. But of course, I was wanting to work with him, and it just happened at that time I was researching this film on Costao, and then I knew that this film wouldn't have happened, and I can't do it with anybody else apart from Nawaz. So I was really very lucky he said yes, and he was the only actor I could have gone to or wanted to do the film with.
But writing, because you used to write also sometime, but was that the thing जिसको as a director और influence किया कि हाँ ये मैं अब direct भी कर सकती हूँ, क्योंकि मुझे एक experience है लिखने का and stories का भी. Was that a part?
No, so actually what happened was, my background, as you know, was I was a journalist with The Week for many years. And then I was doing documentary films for a while. And in between I did short films, I directed some ad films. And when we started the company about 6 years back, my partner Bhavesh, who's also a very well-known writer, he did Oh My God, Angrezi Medium. We started the company only when we wanted to really creatively produce or direct or write stuff we want to do, and that is the only reason we became director. So in the back of my mind, while I was doing documentaries, while I was doing everything, was moving to the fact that I wanted to do fiction and I wanted to do movies. So it took me a lot of time to first of all find the subject which I wanted to do, and when I found it, it happened. Of course, it was not easy, because you know, to get everybody knows it's very hard to make a debut with a director, especially, and it's a biographical crime drama. It's a big film with such an established actor. So I got lucky is because the film idea was very good. I researched for 2 years, and then when Bhavesh wrote it along with Meghna, Nawaz really liked the script, and that is how we agreed to do it.
And you did it.
Yeah.
And you had fun?
Oh, it was like, when people say, when they talk about their first film, everybody will talk to you about the challenges. Of course, there were challenges before to get this film done.
Right.
Because to get the story, first of all, for Costao to agree, to get the rights research, then to get the right script. But once, and then we got a studio, we got the Bhanushali, but after that, it has been like the most easiest thing for me, which is so extraordinary for anybody. Like, I really got lucky because everybody who worked on this film, it seemed like they all were collaborating together to make this happen.
Wow.
So I really got lucky. Like, all my actors, Nawaz, of course, he was extraordinary, and everybody who's worked with him knows that. But it is with him, I had a lot of other actors, the cast, the crew, Priya, Gagan, like Hussain Dalal, and the kid, everybody. And then I had a very good DOP, production design, my writers, everybody. So it became like a family. And we had so much of fun doing it. And till the last day, sometimes I miss those days because I really had a very good time, shooting it. And we were shooting in Goa, and we all used to joke. We all got along well like a family. So it was very good process, for me.
Right. But what was the most surprising thing about directing a film? And then you didn't know about it and no one told you about that thing.
See, I think one thing I knew about is because I have been a producer, I have been on a lot of sets. By then I had done like 4-5, I had done Serious Man. But the thing was what I knew was, so that was not surprising that it's, once you go on the set, everything is so much high pressure that the prep is where all your creative juices flow.
Right.
But what I didn't expect, what was surprising was, actually, I'll tell you honestly, the surprising thing was that sometimes, when things fall, everything falls in place, things are easy. So that was surprising for me that it was easy. I'll tell you honestly. Of course, lot of challenges were there in terms of, because we had the budgets, always. Yes, every film has a budget. Even if you do a 300 crore film or you do a 1 crore film, every film has a budget. So everybody is under pressure. But the surprising thing I would say was, what I didn't know is that actually, I'll tell you actually what I did. What I realized one thing very clearly, that filmmaking is a very collaborative process. All this time, all of us have thought it's a very auto. You think the director is the captain of the ship and everything happens together. One thing I have realized very clearly, that a film cannot happen without everybody seeing the same vision. So this was something I realized while I was making a film, because everybody calls the director the captain of the ship, and it's not a filmmaking, but I realized that it is not possible with every single person putting in that same kind of effort and having the same kind of vision.
Yeah, everybody has to be in sync and the same path, so that you all can have that same thing कि भाई मुझे अब इसी रास्ते पे चलना है.
Yeah, and another thing I realized also, that I really enjoyed doing it and I want to do it again. Like, I really enjoyed directing. I loved waking up in the morning, not sleeping for even 2-3 hours, 4 hours. But when I used to go in the morning, I used to feel so happy when I used to be on the set. I really enjoyed directing. I also enjoyed the post-production. So the whole filmmaking aspect was very good. And a lot of people, I've heard a lot of directors say that enjoy the post-production better than directing. But I really enjoyed the directing, because you're around with so many creative, very different kind of people. And we all had a lot of fun on the sets. In fact, I remember Nawaz kept saying that in all interviews, and in fact, every day he used to tell me, until the end of the shoot, he told me that, I worked on so many films, and this is one film I've had the most fun on, because, everything was very easy. We all used to joke, and, everybody used to have fun. So he said that, so there were so many times I used to feel that ये खत्म नहीं होना चाहिए. Because, normally लगता है कि set पे you go, अरे ये film कभी खत्म हो जाए, there's too much pressure. But he kept saying that, I kept feeling that ये खत्म नहीं होना चाहिए, मुझे इतना मजा आया. And that was because we all work like one family, and it was very easy set. And I really feel that that is what it should be. Like, we should try and have fun, because all of us are spending so much time together.
Of course. But what is your creative process? When you go, what's your one ritual before you go to the sets? You do that. Make sure you do that.
So what I did was, very, very honestly, I really worked, because I was very closely working with my writers before we started. That was a very hard, where we got and decoded each scene, the emotional journey. And there's one thing I do, which I've always wanted to do, and this time I did, is like, I have something called the Bible, which I make before the film. And the Bible is, I used to tell all my team and all that if I die, You know, you just need this Bible and you can still shoot the film, because we decoded everything, like every scene. We wrote that what is the tone of the scene, what I want the actor's emotion, what should be the body language, what should be the set look like, what should be the camera, like even at that detail I wrote. And not only because I was like, it was also my first film and I wanted to be very confident. And secondly, I wanted, you know, there are so many things we all know that once you start shooting, no, you forget a lot of things, because everybody say, oh, jaldi karo, light is going, this is going. So I want, when you're doing the prep, that's the best time you have to spend, like 3-4 months on the set. So I wanted to go prepared. And so every morning when I used to go to the set, I used to have the screenplay with me and I used to have the Bible next to me. And in that, I remember 3 months back when I was fresh and I was very excited and I was not so tired. That time I had written, oh, in this scene, I want, you know, this actor to be a little more aggressive. I wanted him to tone down. I wanted the body language to him to move faster. I wanted the camera to move like that. So these are the things I used to look at before going in the car. And then I had this another ritual which people used to hate me for, that I used to reach the set very early. So my assistants and all, normally you expect the director, so they used to sometimes lie to me the call time, because they thought, "Arey, wo to bahut jaldi aa jayegi." So if it's a 7 o'clock shift, sometimes my writer Bhavesh and me, who's also my producer, partner, writer, we used to reach like 1.5 hours early when the light van is coming. And we're saying, "Ye log pagal log aa gaye," because I like to go early, sit, have a cup of coffee, do the blocking before the actors come, discuss the scene, discuss with my writer. So these are the things that really help me, because, you know, I feel that if you're very well prepared and there's a lot of prep, that really helps you.
But this is the director cuts episode, and I want to know from you, what was the challenge you faced during the shoot, Costao?
See, the biggest challenge I think I faced, I'm talking in terms of filmmaking, not in terms of the prep and all that writing and all, I think was that we had a very little amount of time. Okay, and there's a lot of action in the film. You see, there are so many different locations, there are so many things to do. And in that aspect, to get the right tone, you know, so I felt that was a big challenge, that, you know, so many times you have so much of creative, you know, we have decided that this is how I want to shoot a scene, this is how I want to do, but when the time crunch is there, how do you manage to do that? And sometimes you think that meko 3 ghanta se jana 1 ghante mein scene shoot karna hai.
Correct.
So I felt that was one. And secondly, I felt the biggest challenge was also is to get the right tone of the film, because, you know, when you're making a biopic, the fear is that it doesn't become like a caricature.
Correct.
So we wanted to feel the soul of the film. I think these are some of the challenges I had. And then, of course, on the set, the first 1-2 days, you know, you are just trying to get, you know, you are nervous because everybody is looking at you. But I think within 1.5 day, you know, I was quite okay. And that actually, sorry to cut you in that question line.
No,
when you said what was the most surprising thing, actually the true thing is that I expected to be nervous, I expected to be anxious, but from day one, I just felt that I belong here, and I was never nervous. I was very excited and all, because I feel a lot of preparation had gone in, and because of everything went well, So, sorry, the question you said was, before that, what was the journey? How did you...
What was the making? Also, this is the second part of the question, but challenges, the main focus of the challenges of this particular film.
I feel the challenges was, one thing was that it took us a lot of time, not me, the writers, to get first of all, at every moment the script, there was a lot of changes being made in the script.
Okay.
So for me, as a director, I'll say my biggest challenge was that I was not getting the script sometimes on time. And that is because, you know, my partner, Bhavesh, he works like that, and he's the kind of a writer who kabhi, you know, 2 days before, he might come on the set and might discuss with Nawaz and they might change the dialogue. I feel one was to go with the flow. And the other thing was, I feel the biggest challenge was that sometimes, what I was looking at the scene for, how I had come prepared, things didn't go that way. And at that moment, things suddenly changed. I wanted exactly the scene, the emotions like that. So I think one of the things you realize that you have to let go and be in the moment. Because, you know, मैंने ये सोचा था ये scene ऐसे ही होगा, this location you will get, you don't get the location. Like I remember there was twice we were in Goa and we had decided that we are going to shoot in this location. We had done the recce, and for some reason that location we didn't get. So at last moment you're suddenly thinking that ये location पे कैसे करना है. So I think these are the challenges you feel. But I said overall, I think those were the little challenges I felt.
But director also keeps in the mind that कि भाई मुझे इतने खर्चे में सब कुछ करवाना है, ये सारी चीजें भी होती हैं, or else just the producer who looks.
See, but what had happened is because I was also the producer, we are also the producers of the film, and anyways, the way apart from that, I am very, very, very well aware that when a film is being made, it cannot be made in the air. Everybody has to make money. People cannot lose money. So I am a very, very mindful director. I have always been like that. And where there are no creative cuts, but I am trying to make it in the budget. So in the sense, one thing surprisingly, because I'm so mindful and because we were so prepared, there was not a single day in the we shot for I think 43 days. Not a single day have I gone half a shift, even extra, which is a very, very rare thing. Sometimes people go half shift, one shift, extra days. We cut 2 number of days and we never went half shift extra. That was because we were very well prepared. So I feel that, you have to look at all the aspects. It's not that mereko yehi karna hai, to, you cannot, I don't think it is fair to anybody. Like, it is not, then you should put in your own money where you feel that mujhe to film aise hi banaye, because there are people who are putting in money. And as a producer and as a director, the advantage was that I knew where I wanted to spend the money. Suppose I had this amount of money. What happens is that if you are not aware of the budgets and if you are not aware of the cuts, money is gone to the wrong things. Like for example, when I used to sit on the prep, I used to look at the budget. And then I used to see the number of, suppose this money is allocated for the costumes. Okay, I remember I sat down and said, I don't want to spend so much money on the costumes. Just give me a simple shirt and trousers. I'd let them repeat also. Because that is not what the film is about. I will rather use that money in something else. Give me half a day extra. Give me this extra. Give me one camera extra. Give me one day, 2 days Steadicam. So these are the things I used to do that as a, so to make sure that the money is utilized in a correct way.
Not wasted.
Yeah, not wasted and utilized where I wanted to utilize. So it makes a big advantage if you know the budget, if you know what the film is,
But after the release and everything went well, the interviews, promotion, and then there were some expectations from you that ki ye film to kamal kar jayegi or something like that.
See, I always knew when we were making this film, honestly, we knew that this film is a film where you have to really connect with it. The audience has to connect with it. So it is not a film which I always knew that, it's not a film where everybody is going to love it. Everybody is going to be interested in, which I feel all films are like that. There are some films people, even however big a Pushpa might be or an animal, there are so many films people who didn't like it and didn't want to watch it. So I feel films are a very subjective thing. So I always knew what my film was. What we wanted to do was just stick to the creative integrity of the film. And I felt that as far as I'm doing that, of course there are some people who have not liked the film, there are some people who found it slow, there are some people who have loved the film, and we've got like varied, but mostly it's like, I'll tell you what, and the biggest thing, what made me happy, of course, and I'm not just saying it as a cliche, but it was not like, first of all, it's not a theatrical, so there's no pressure. I just wanted more people to watch it. And I was very happy with some of the reviews we got was like excellent. But the main thing is what excited me was, and I was not nervous at all. Normally people, I remember we went for the screening and everybody was like, kya nervous lag raha hai? I said not, because 2 days before I had shown the film to the real Costao. And I had shown to the custom officer and his daughter, and there were tears in their eyes and they were so overwhelmed. So I was quite confident that at least the people who made the film for, they really liked it, and it was just I was very happy that a lot of other people liked it.
Tears, you might be like, मैं यहाँ तो success हो कम से कम. Because that is something, it's full heart. People when watch film, then only they cry and something like that. But was that you sure that time कि मैंने अच्छा काम कर लिया है?
Yeah, see, I was always, through the film, after some time, I think you lose your objectivity, because आपने film 1000 times देखी है, you can edit. But I can say with complete pride and confidence that this was the film, this is the best I could do. I mean, of course, in retrospect, you look at a film and everybody knows that I wish I look at it. So I'm in fact not looking at my film for the next 2-3 months. I want to look at it after three months. And then you, of course, looked at it objectively and wish I had done this, which I had done. That is what it is, life is. We all know. We just want to know the mistakes we make. So the next time you don't make the same mistakes, you'll make other mistakes. We all are going to make 100 other mistakes, but I don't want to make the same mistake. So once you are editing and all, I'll tell you honestly, I was quite happy with the way the film has turned out, of course. And I knew that this was the best I could do. So, yeah.
But why did you choose OTT?
See, when we were making the film, there was never any OTT or theatrical. I wanted to make this subject. We got Nawaz, and then the film was being made. We had always decided that this film will have its own journey depending on what the people want. And we had shot it, that is why we shot it very cinematically. I remember every interview or every YouTube comment or anywhere 90% of the people said that ये theatre में क्यों नहीं गई, because the way we had shot the film, the theatrical. But we didn't think about that, and then of course I'm happy that it went ahead, because Z5 Global, what happens is there are so many people. I've got calls from all over the world. I mean, you know how many people really go to the theatres to watch it. I had like, there's some people from the smallest town in the US to Dubai to India to Nagpur to Indore to like the customers, everybody's watched it, you know. So I'm actually very, very happy that it has reached the maximum people. Right. That is what that should be the game.
But was that your conscious decision कि theatre में ऐसी भी फिल्में नहीं चल रही, तो it's better to... I
feel theatre में नहीं चल रही है. People their audiences want to decide what they want to watch on OTT. ये film है. And I also feel that ये मेरे को from day one I knew that if it was OTT, I'll be happy. More people will watch it. So I'm quite happy that it went like that. At the same day, so many people are watching, and you get immediate reaction.
Right.
Like the first 2-3 days, you get immediate reaction to your film. So it's quite nice, you know, to do that.
But you were in this field already. Why so late?
So actually, I was in the field not for a very long time, because as I said, I was a journalist. Then for 8-10 years, I was making documentary films. And then I was trying to make a film for at least 7-8 before I started my company. I was writing scripts, not this one, but I was writing other scripts, and I wanted to direct. I was writing 2 or 3 scripts. It's very hard to make a film, and especially when I've not assisted anybody. I'm really come from a very different background, so you don't know many people. So I was also struggling to make. And then once we started the company, I was wanted to direct at that point. But what happens is when you've just started, where Bhavesh, both of us are involved in so many projects, it took me a lot of time to find a time where both of us are dedicated to making the film, you know.
Right.
So this story I started researching 5 years back. You know, by the time we researched, then Bhavesh was busy, Nawaz was busy, I was busy, something or the other was happening. And then we started writing, so it took a long journey to make it. But my ultimate goal is I really wanted to direct. Of course, I love producing, because I'm working with some great creators. And I get to learn a lot, because we are not a traditional producers where we make projects. So I sit with the writers, we sit with the creators. It's so much fun. You get to learn so much. So I think it was a natural thing that to find the right story and to get a chance to make, because everybody knows it's not easy nowadays to make a film, and you know, for a debut,
Of course. But does the creative conflict used to take place, because so many creative people in the flow on the sets, Bhavesh, you, Nawaz, everyone.
So so I'll tell you, the creative conflict happened before we started shooting. That was between Bhavesh and me, because you know it always happens, and we've had that relationship where we are always keeping on creative. So I think a lot of conflict happened at that moment, where you know people he used to say, no, I feel this way, that way. So, you know, there are times when, you know, there were people used to laugh at us because we used to really fight a lot before when we are alone. And then once it was all decided that we both agreed, and always the fight was always about the script. It is never, there was nothing personal ego or something.
Always the best thing.
Yeah. And once the script was ready and once we went on the set, I'll tell you, it was a very amazing thing that we all were in very good sync, you know. Like, in fact, I remember Nawaz telling me that, you know, that Bhavesh, Nawaz and me, because we worked on Serious Men together, there is a kind of a relationship we have. There's a lot of trust. Like, I remember Nawaz will never ever, you know, he is such a seasoned actor.
I know.
And, you know, but I don't remember ever he coming and telling me that, Sejal, yaar, ye scene ka aap mujhe aise bol rahe ho, but I feel I should do this. He only elevated the script. Maybe once, twice he would ask me questions about the script, and maybe once or twice he would give a suggestion that, you know, Sejal, I feel that this line, we could do this or something like that, but it's your call, aap decide karna. So he was so extraordinarily generous and so free, you know, that we all were in so much of sync. So जो भी झगड़ा हुआ था पहले हुआ, during the set it was nothing, you know, and I had worked with Rafe, who's one of the best cinematographers. He was my DOP. He was a close friend earlier, and we had worked on all the stuff, my production designer, music, everybody. We had done so much of prep that on the set, it was, I don't remember, rarely, must be once or twice, maybe because of hot, somebody must have lost the temper, or you're very stressed at some point, you know. Like, I remember once we were shooting, and these are the stupid incidents that happened. Once we were shooting, and there was a traffic scene in the film, and you know, at that time I was on the monitor, and Bhavesh was, and all these boys were outside and trying to manage the traffic, and then something went into your head, and they said that it's 6 o'clock. We have to move, sunlight is sunset. So I also didn't check, and we all went around, finished the scene faster, and then we realized that it was 4:30 only. So I was like, we all just lost, we all didn't give me that one and a half hour time. So these all things used to happen on the set. And then when we had the action sequence, we were working with Abbas bhai, who was very good. So those moments we used to have a good time, and and especially there are two scenes in the film, like you were asking me earlier, that which were the scenes. So I'll tell you why I want to specifically talk about the scenes. There's one scene where Nawaz is being, in the film, where he's beaten by a mob of women, Costao, and it's really happened to Costao. Now that scene is a very violent scene in that sense that he's, he comes out of the courtroom, and these group of women who are wearing veils, they all surround him, attack him, and start beating him up. And this whole perspective is seen from his daughter, because the film's narrative is from the daughter's point of view, where she's talking about the father. I remember this scene from the day, like maybe 3-4 years back, when Costao told me about it, when we were writing the scene, when we had envisioned. I'd always wanted the scene to be something like a choreographed emotional drama, because there was violence. People are hitting, beating and all that, but I didn't want that scene to be about violence. I wanted to be about the relationship between the father and the daughter, and about the humiliation of the father. Because I feel that what happens is, most people, it is the child or the parent, is that people don't like their father, who they looked as a hero, to be humiliated, and you don't like your child to see what you've gone through. So that moment, I wanted to just capture that moment in that scene, where the father looks, he's being beaten up, and he looks at his daughter, and he does this, that, don't worry, nothing is happening. And she's so young, and she's crying. Because that is something she'll never forget, that somebody is hitting her father with a chappal, spitting on him and throwing it. Imagine you're as a child, and that is the image you've grown. So that is one scene I was very clear about. I wanted to shoot it more like an operatic kind of thing. It's beautifully shot, it's beautifully choreographed, but what is happening is something else, So the violence is that. That was one scene, and it was the last scene in the film, where Nawaz goes to the graveyard, and the Costao goes to the graveyard, and where he asks for forgiveness. That is one scene from day one. We all were very emotionally charged about it. And I remember Nawaz, we all discussed it. We didn't shoot the film obviously in linear. It was non-linear, depending on the location. But we had always discussed that is the scene we'll shoot last of the film. Because there is, by then, the character and the actor has gone through an emotional journey. So by the time you go there, you know what you're feeling.
Correct.
So that was one of the most important, and we were really very scared. I was anxious, excited about that scene. And Nawaz was like, he came, that was one scene, he was very well prepared. He came, he spent 2-3 hours alone in his van when he came, and then he had told everybody that I want you pin drop silence. So that was the day there was like pin drop silence on the set. All of us were there. He came and he did that scene because he's alone. It's a man sitting alone, monologue on the grave, and he's crying. And that was such a difficult scene, and we did it like 3-4 takes for different things, but every time he got it so right. And I remember after that also, nobody used to say, like, when cut or action has to whisper, because we wanted that kind of him to be almost feel he was alone there. The idea was that the actor feels that he's alone. Costao, Nawaz, they all feel that they're alone, only him and the grave. And after that, I remember also there were so many people crying, and everybody clapped, and it was a very beautiful moment. So these are the scenes which I was very worried about challenging, but ultimately they turned out to be like that.
But it was all shot at Goa?
Most of the stuff we shot in South Goa, because the film is in the 90s. We had to be very careful that it has to give the feel. So of course, and then some scenes were shot in Bombay, like the interior scenes. We shot in the Bombay custom office. The real location we shot in the Goa custom office. In fact, it's the first time in the history of the Indian customs, a 200-year-old building was given to us to shoot. We shot all these real locations. So we got extraordinary support from people.
Right. Yeah. We have a quickly 3 to 4 questions for you as a debutant director, and then so we'll go with, it's just a rapid fire questions. Was there a moment on set when it truly hit you, I'm directing my first film? What was that like?
I think the first day when I went on the set, and I remember I used to always have a cup of coffee, and I used to take a muffin for some reason, and I used to sit in one corner. And that is the first time I said that, this is it, it's a dream come true. Yeah, and it is just beautiful. It's just lucky. So I think that is that moment I felt that, wow, I don't want to forget this moment, and I want to appreciate. Sometimes you take things for granted. Everything, all of us do that. In every aspect of your life you're spending, and you don't realize it, and you're waiting for something more. That is why when you ask me success, the success is that moment that you realize that you're very lucky, because there are people who are more talented than you. there are people who work harder than you. It's a fact.
Right.
It is just that sometimes you just get the grace and you get the luck, and you are at that position when somebody else is not.
I'm sure this would be something like that. Ki, these are the prayers we have once prayed for, right? And which are coming to, and we are not realizing it that it's going through, right?
Yeah. So I feel that these are the moments, no, and I didn't want to, and I remember I didn't want to take them for granted. Like till today, no, I don't take that for granted that I have got a chance to direct a film. I don't take that moment for granted, and I feel a lot of responsibility. I feel a lot of luck. That's all I feel. I don't feel that, oh, mereko deserve karta hai. I feel hard work, because that is not true at all. Because, somebody will ask you that you have worked so hard, but I know somebody who works in my house, my driver, my staff, the guy on the road, the guy who sells, they work much harder than me. So that is a thing, and some people are more talented. So I think one has to just appreciate that. Right.
Yeah, as a debutant, how did you prepare yourself to lead a set with experienced actor like Nawazuddin Siddiqui?
So what I prepared myself is to completely know the script in and out, to know the story in and out, because then I have the confidence that what I want from my actor. So that was one preparation I did very, very clearly, and how I'm going to shoot my film. So these are the things that prepared me, because I was going to direct Nawaz. But I'll tell you honestly, these are so prepared, but I was never nervous, because Nawaz is also such an actor, and because he's such a good actor, it makes things very easy for a director. People say, "Aapne Nawaz ko direct kiya hai," but ultimately he's so good. Aap kya direct karoge? You're like mostly you're just telling him the story and the emotions. So yeah. But I prepared myself, because I just that was my Bible. I had a Bible where every scene I knew that what I want from the actor. So I was really very well prepared कि मुझे story in and out मालूम पड़नी चाहिए.
But did you took any tips from any of the director before?
No, I didn't take tips from any directors, but it is just that I've worked with so many directors. I have director friends, I have a lot of writer friends. I watch a lot of movies. I'm crazy. I watch a lot of director interviews. I must have seen like every director interview. I've read a lot of books on directors. So I just knew that these are the things what I'm talking about, what I've done the Bible, what I've done this. These are the things I picked up from people that, all upset. Like Steven Spielberg, I remember they asked him that what would you advise a new director to do? So they said, one thing is that wear best shoes, most comfortable shoes, and be prepared to stand on the set for 15 hours. So these are the things you realize that ultimately आप set पे जाओ, creativity जाए भाड़ में, you will have to be at that moment.
Yes. One actor now you would like to direct?
I see, it's not that one actor. There are so many talented people. Like I know, so it's very difficult. Of course, I want to work with good actors. There's of course, for one me, I definitely want to work with Nawaz again, because it was a dream. I have produced one show with Pratik. He was excellent. I produced one show with Maddie. They're excellent. These are the people I've worked with as either producer, and I want to work with them. I want to, of course, my two favorite actors who one day I hope I want to be Shah Rukh Khan and Ranbir Kapoor. These are the people I really love as actors, and a lot of good actors I want to work with. So it's nothing, and mainly what the script will demand more than anything.
If you could go back to a day one on set, what advice would you give yourself now?
I think what I would give myself now is that the first day of the set, I should have. I'm just thinking. Sorry, it's a very good question. And thank you for asking me, because I've never thought about this. Is something I'm going to anyway think about it. That what would I give my advice on the set? I think I would also do one thing. I got it. Thank you for asking me that question. Suddenly I've realized it's an epiphany that I should trust my intuition a lot more. That is one advice, because there were so many times in the film, in the script, in the scene, I had an intuition about something, and so many times I didn't trust it, and I realized after that I was right about it. So whenever I did, I was right. So I feel that I have to just be in the moment. There's an advice I'll give, there's to trust your intuition and be in the moment.
Okay, how did you find your visual style or voice as a director?
See, my visual style and how did I find during the film was, even before we started filming the thing, I knew there was a certain look I wanted. I wanted realism, realistic, but I wanted to be beautiful images, because this is a tragic story. This is a story of heroism. There are a lot of ups and downs in the film, but I wanted I wanted the images to be beautiful, because setting that against the ugly truth of life, that is what I wanted to show, that juxtaposition. But apart from that is how I found my voice is that there are certain, tones. I wanted the way, I think the way I looked at each scene was what I wanted to convey. So in that scene, for me, that is the most important thing, because, you know, I'll tell you what I feel very strongly, that with the most stylized director, the best director in the world, and we have seen the best directors in the world, they fail because the script is weak. So I feel that if you can just find your tone in the language, and I've always believed that with an superb script, an average director is better, but with the best director in the world, an average script you can't do. So I feel that if you can find your best tone, your voice, is through the what you want to say in the each scene, what you want to convey in the movie, and everything else comes later, because there are so many other people there to find your voice. Like, you know, you discuss with your production designer, you discuss with your costume, which is there, that you know that this is the 90s. Okay, so we all know this is the 90s look I want. I wanted the beginning, you know, to be much with the, like the whenever there's a family together, I wanted it to be softer. I wanted us to feel for children. Whenever the second half, when the harshness moves, I wanted the camera angle, the camera way to move differently. So these are the things you take according to the story. These are the calls you take.
So my last question, do you think directors get their due credits?
Yes, I think they do. I feel that directors get a lot of credit, and they also get a lot of flack, which is rightly so. That, you know, if the film doesn't do well, it's the directors. If the film does well. So I feel that directors get a lot of credit. I feel people who don't get credit are the writers, not the directors. I think directors get the credit.
Thank you so much for talking to me in my episode of Director's Cut. It was such a lovely talking to you. Thank you for all your insights, decoding your first film. And before going, if you want to say something to someone who is going to debut or something like that, what are the things they should keep in their mind?
So I want to tell you, thank you. I really enjoyed this interview, because there are so many things I said, which, you know, sometimes you don't think about. You know, when somebody is asking you, you're thinking, okay, what are the things to take away? But I just feel that, you know, anybody who wants to become a filmmaker, who wants to debut, I want to say that, you know, it's a very hard thing, you know, and you know, it's not easy for me to say that, acha, aap log kaam karo, ho jayega. Of course, people are very talented, people work hard, but it is the industry, it's a difficult place, and it is difficult to make a film. But I feel that if you have great stories to tell, no, and you are very passionate about your job, because here, no, unless you're passionate, no, you should not be here, because for making money, to get fame, there are a lot of other things to do. This is not the place for that. I think you should be here if you have the passion and the patience, and you are relentless to be.
I think it goes with any field.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Fables to directing your own film, how have you evolved, and how has this company evolved over these years?
So the reason we started this company was Bhavish and me were both individual directors and writers. But what we realized is that, you know, sometimes what happens is, because, you know, when you go to a producer or something, the creative integrity of a film or a series get lost. And what we wanted to ensure is that, because we are so, we call ourselves a boutique company, where the writer, it's a writer's company basically, which produces. That's what we say. So we wanted to give the writers and the creators that this is a place for them to come, and the whole idea was that we are going to make films, not projects. And that we will kind of be their protection. We wanted to protect writers and directors. And that is how we started it, where films will be made which are exciting, which we want to tell, and not on the basis for it's star driven, ye actor aayega, how much money you will make or not. And that was the reason we started Bombay Fables, and we did Serious Men, we did Asool season 2, we did Deep Couple, we were creative producers on Delhi Crime. We have a new show coming up, Sare Jahan Se Acha, Netflix. So we've done a lot for Netflix. 2 of our films are coming. So basically, I feel that Bombay Fables for us has been, you know, the fact that every talent who has worked with us, either writer, director, they have repeated, you know. So I feel that that gives us a lot of confidence that people come here, they find that, you know, they will be given their fair due, their fair credit, and a lot of freedom. And I feel that is how Bombay Fables, we look at ourselves, and that is how we have succeeded, and we are hoping to do better stuff in the future.
But what more can we expect from Bombay Fables? Like,
so
what kind of stories we can expect?
Yeah,
from
so Bombay Fables, you know, what people have always said, which is somebody told me that whatever, you know, now, which we have established, hopefully it's not many, just 5 projects, but that what comes out from Bombay Fables, when it says it's produced by Bombay Fables, they expect something different. Like, and it's a very varied kind of stuff. Like, if you see Serious Men was completely different, and then you have Decoupled, but then you have Asool, which was so broad-based, and then you have a Delhi Crime season 2, now you have Costao. So there are all kinds of films. We are not genre agnostic. We are basically genre agnostic, where we don't look at yehi actor ke karna hai ya yehi genre karna hai. Anything that excites us, and even if it's a small film, agar OTT ke liye hoga ya 300 crore film hoga, the story has to be important, and we want to enjoy working with those creators. That is also very important for us. So in the future, what we have lined up is there are 2 films. I'm going to be directing. One is a thriller, one is an action.
हाँ.
And there are two, one series will come out in Netflix in August.
हाँ.
There are 2 films which we are working with 2 directors and creators. So we are working with very different writers, creators and directors, and all different kinds of stories, from a thriller to a romance to a horror, comedy. I think these are the films we are looking at.
Sure, we'll be waiting for it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for talking to us. It was lovely talking to you.
Thank you so much. Hi, this is Sejal Shah. You're watching me on Director's Cut at Galatta, India.